Well, I'm really excited about our conversation today on the Limitless Leadership Lounge. I am John Gehring, joined as always by Dr. Numa Kareem and Coach Jim Johnson. And today we're talking about some of those mentors from afar because we all need those people who we look up to, content that we consume. Now, certainly, we hope that the Limitless Leadership Lounge is a valuable podcast for you, and we hope that you're getting a lot from the content that we produce here. But there's so many other great books, podcasts, and influencers out there who have influenced us and the guests that we've interviewed today. So we're gonna break down some of those for you. So if you're just looking for some content inspiration, some books or to read or podcasts to listen to, this is a great spot for you today as you learn from the best, Coach Jim Johnson, and some of his recommendations. So, Coach, let's start with you. And you mentioned these mentors from afar. I love this concept. Tell us who you have and what kind of impact they've made on you.
Yeah, so first I'll say I'll do one just that's was very close. Unfortunately, all three of my mentors, two from afar, one from near, are all passed away. But my first is my father. He was a great role model, and I learned a lot about him. I followed in his footsteps, and in fact, I became a teacher and a coach like he was. All he got into administration, but I didn't. And I learned a tremendous amount. And the greatest thing that I want to share with everybody is what made my father so great is he was just a wonderful role model. He lived his life, he aligned his words and actions when we always talk about trust. And then my two from afar is the late Jim Rohn and the late John Wooden. And I'll start with the professional coaching in the sense that I was a high school basketball coach for most of my career, 35 years. And as I started to study basketball, John Wooden was pretty easy to study because his success was unbelievable. He won 10 national championships, including seven in a row, which is unfathomable in this day and age. He won 10 in 12 years. But the one thing is when I started to study John Wooden, I've never met him personally, although I do have some signed things from him because I knew some people that knew John Wooden personally. But I learned so much by reading his books and listening to him on audio and interviews. And, now things are on YouTube as well. And I have a newsletter I get that the guy promotes John Wooden still to this day. So I just learned a lot about not only coaching basketball, but how important it is to have principles and to live your life that you're a model for the people that you did. And then my last one is the late Jim Rohn, Rohn. He was Tony Robbins' first mentor. And when I started to get into personal growth, there was an organization, I think they're still around, but this is back in the tape cassette days and then changed to CDs. And I used to get a monthly letter from Nightingale Conan that was shared all these different programs, and I would order, and if I didn't like them, I would send them back. Well, I ordered Jim Rohn, and I didn't know anything about. I started listening to Tony Robbins before I listened to Jim Rohn. But Jim Rohn, I got a seminar on VHS tapes that I watched numerous times, and then I have a bunch of his audio programs. I've read a couple of his books, but again, he was a guy. He was known as America's business philosopher. But the thing that I learned so much about him was that he said things that were very simple yet extremely profound. I'll give you one example. He had a mentor himself, and his mentor told him, Jim, if you want to be wealthy, study wealth. And when that hit me between the eyes, because I'm like, you know what? Hey, I'd rather be wealthy than poor, yet I have not studied it at all. And I actually started to study wealth and the same concept in anything in life. I wanted to be a better leader. So I really started to study leadership. And, we'll get into a couple of books I like and that kind of thing. But it's really important. The great thing about, the world today is you can have mentors and never meet them. And, I have two great examples of people that are not alive anymore, and yet I still absorb their material because it's so outstanding.
Yeah,
Renuba,
fantastic.
yeah, Renuba, how about you?
Yeah, for me, two role models in my life. I think we learn from seeing our parents, our relatives, people from our communities, and they are the one who have the most impact. For me, my role model and hero first was my dad, because I observed how he led his life. Even when he was in a position of power, like a managing director of a leading factory and an industrial sector, he had so many opportunities to just go with the flow, do what everybody is doing, but he never compromised with his integrity. Even when there were like a labor union locked him in his office because they wanted to scrupulously sell things in the market to gain profit, my dad, he did not budge. He was, no matter how many threats he get or anything, he never budged from integrity. And he always told me, always live life without regrets. And even if it's uncomfortable, everybody in his position is building houses because of corruption and buying cars and all those things. Lived a very modest life. And he always said that I can sleep comfortably. I don't have any worry that did something wrong. And always remember to live with that sense of integrity, no matter if you don't have that much money or even that, you sleep in peace. So that is very important. And when he passed away, I heard like people passing by the street and saying that, oh, the guy who passed away, we heard that he was a very good man. And I think that was the success and legacy. And I also follow that when I pass away, that should be my legacy, that living as a good human being. And another person whom I didn't meet, who passed away the year before I was born, was my father's eldest brother, Enad Karim. So he was Bangladesh first foreign secretary and ambassador to US. And even when he was dealing with heart attack, like he died at age 47, so he was younger than me when he passed away. But he was a language movement in 1952. He was a language movement activist. He was a freedom fighter of Bangladesh. We liberated in 1971, and he was also an uncompromising personality. For him, servant leadership was the core. No matter, he had his third heart attack. He was dying in the hospital, and still he's murmuring like, what are the decisions that need to be taken? Because Bangladesh was a very new country. He needed to build all the foreign relationship, and he is seen as the architect of Bangladesh first diplomacy and the foreign service ministry. So building the connection, making Bangladesh recognized. And he never disrespected anybody. That's what I heard. Like, even if there were people who were less powerless, even a rickshaw puller or somebody like that. In Bengali language, when it's elderly, we have a different verb or adjective. So he would always address everybody with respect, never looking down at people. And that is why I think everybody also respected him. So, servant leadership, no matter what, when he is transitioning to another office or anything like that, those people who will be working in his desk, he would assign, like, do all the research and make things easier for the junior officers. So it was so, like, he was so dedicated and that high sense of responsibility. So those are the two individual in my life I really look up to, and hopefully I can walk in their path.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing, Renewman. I'm sure when you do pass away, which hopefully isn't anytime soon, but people will remember you for that. I'm going to go the faith route because that's so important to me. A couple of people who I really look up to are actually pastors who have really had an impact in my life. Craig Rochelle is one of those who has really touched me from his messages. Certainly about faith and about leadership and life. And then Stephen Furtick is another one who I listen to frequently and really appreciate his messages. And that's because I'm a person of faith and my Christian faith is really important to me. It's really changed my life in so many ways, and I feel that it's allowed me to live the best possible life that I can. And
Right.
that is thanks to a lot of people who have helped me along the way with that, including my parents, including my local church, and those two people who I listen to frequently, Craig Rochelle and Stephen Furtick. So those are our mentors that we look to from afar or not so far. Now let's talk books because books and podcasts are two ways that we can consume content and be surrounded by these good influences. Coach, what are a couple of books that really resonated with you?
As you know, anybody that knows me knows that I'm an extremely avid reader, and my wife has tried to get rid of many of my books, and I have lost some of them because of her. We just made a move, but so it was really hard. But I will zero down to two. One that is extremely well known, but it changed my life immensely, and that was The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. I always wanted to meet Dr. Covey. I saw him speak once. I never got a chance to meet him. The ironic thing is, the year he passed away, the next year, I got an opportunity to speak to Franklin Covey. So I missed by a year, but I did get to meet some of his family, and it was a real honor to speak to Franklin Covey. But Dr. Covey's the one thing with the seven habits, I mean, they're so powerful, and he did so much research. But the one that jumped out to me that helped me immensely, and I really try to teach young people about, is discovering your mission. He talked about having a personal mission statement. And when I read that book, I had no clue what he was talking about. But boy, I really started to delve into that. And it really changed my life when I was able to find and create my personal mission, which I try to live as best I can each day. And then one other book that's, although I think it was a bestseller at its time, is called Season of Life, and it's by Jeffrey Marks, and it's a story about a football coach that was assistant. He was Joe Ehrman, his name was. He was an NFL player, and then he came back and he helped a high school football team, and it just goes through the story and the life lessons and the example he set. And it's just it's I'm an avid reader, but I don't read a lot of books multiple times. I will go back and look at some notes and that kind of thing. But I've actually read that book multiple times because it's just so powerful. It's just such a great story with so many great life lessons. So there are so many books, but I'll close
Oh,
there
yeah.
because we could go talk forever with books for me. So Renuma, how about you?
The Seven Habit is one of my all-time favorite. There are so many books, so we cannot cover all those. So I'm going to just choose one that really impacted me during the time of crisis or the challenges we face in daily life. It is Marcus Aurelius' Meditation. I love books on philosophy because I think they are the one who they are the one that grounded us in our life values. And one of the quote I really love from that book is, "We suffer more often in our imagination than in reality."
Mm.
Mm,
So it projected so much to our lives, like we do uh, just think about all these narratives, wrong narratives, which does not impact us. So we suffer more, but in reality, it might not be that much of a impact that is creating in our life. So Marcus Aurelius, why I love his book, because he was an emperor, one of the five greatest emperor in Greece in those era, and he was a philosopher king. So for 19 years, he ruled over the part, and never even during the plague, the wars, and everything, he never lost his sense of integrity, morality. He never there were people who betrayed him, but he never seek revenge. So to him, forgiveness was the biggest virtue. And that is why often we see there is this circle of violence in the political circle or so many areas. He did not believe in that circle of violence. So that's why he never seeked revenge. So that was very powerful. And also he believed that every day we have a chance to rise up to our potential. So the being a human being, one of the major core area is to strive for our the best we can do, and always remember that we are mortal, and act according to that. So I think that is one book that everybody should read to have that basic sense of values, and what, even if you have the power, you do not misuse the power, even if you are not accountable to anybody, because he was the emperor, he could do anything. but he always lived his life with accountability to himself. So that is, I think, a true leader, one of the major quality of a true leader.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of going on the leadership and also the personal development thing. My book that
Mm,
I want to share is Ed Milet's Power of One More. I think that's such a powerful book for me, and just the idea of progress, incremental progress, and just how
mm,
doing one more consistently shows up more than any big measure of progress. And I love Ed Milet's content, and that book was really eye-opening to me. A couple of different concepts, and I won't go into them for time's sake, but just one of them is the idea of the thermometer. When we set our temperature higher,
mm,
we always kind of fall back into where our thermometer is set, and oftentimes issues in life are because of our thermometer being set too low. And just
mm,
that really resonated with me, and I've taken it with me in life. And Ed Milet is a great speaker, a great writer, and a great personal development personality. So I really appreciate that. Again, Ed Milet, The Power of One More is definitely the book that I would
mm.
recommend. And speaking of Ed Milet, not to give it away, but he does have a podcast too. And Coach,
Yeah.
let's mention a couple of podcasts besides, of course, the Limitless Leadership Lounge that you like to listen to.
Right. So I've become a podcast junkie. I listen to probably over an hour a day of podcasts. I just love them. And Ed Milet's show is a great one. Another one is Lewis Howes, The School of Greatness is another one that I listen to. I listen to so many. I'll just mention two more. Another one is a shorter one called The Darren Daily of Darren Hardy that was actually mentored by Jim Rohn as well. And I listened to that Monday through Friday. And then the last one, I got to give a little plug for our podcast because we've had him as a guest twice. His name is Ryan Hawk, and he runs the Learning Leader Show that releases once a week on Sundays, and it's a great show. He does a terrific job with interviews, and you check out our two episodes with him. He's great to be interviewed as well. How about you, Renuma?
I will also share just two shortly. One is the Daily Stoic, Ryan Holidays. It gives me that everyday idea of how to use philosophy in our daily life. So that's a very good podcast. And another interesting podcast, I think, is the Diary of the CEO. So he brings in so many experts from so many different fields. I really enjoy those long conversation. So while I'm going for my 45 minutes or 1 hour walk, I just listen to all these interviews and get those snippets of different ideas of the what's going on in the world and how we can be better leaders. So the Diary of the CEO and Daily Stoic are two of my choices.
And I'm just going to add one
Yeah.
more from another shout out to a previous guest on our show, and actually local to the Rochester area. Jesse Kramer has an
Oh,
incredible
yes.
podcast called Personal Finance for Long-Term Investors. I think financial literacy is something that we lack as a culture, and there's so much content out there that's telling you to do this and that and all these complicated things. He makes it simple and really breaks it down for you. And his show is really, really informational and really, really good, even for people like me who don't really know much about the math or the financial
Mm.
aspect of life, but just some of those daily habits and daily choices we can make to make a difference in our finances for the long term. So hopefully those people, books, and podcasts were helpful to you if you're looking for any more recommendations, or if you check one of these out and they resonate with you, reach out. We would love to hear your recommendations as well, and who you like to listen to or read, or content that you like to consume to better you on your life journey. Because we're all doing this together. Some of us are further along than others, like Coach, but we're all doing this together, right? Coach Jim Johnson, Dr. Numa Kareem, and I'm John Gehring. Thanks for checking out the Limitless Leadership Lounge. We'll be back next week with another guest and another tri generational conversation for emerging leaders.